The 2021 National Food Consumption and Micronutrient Survey, which was released recently, showed that about 21% of Nigerian households are food secure. But I'm joined now by my guest, who is an agribusiness expert in the person of Dr. Ajisefinni Ayodeji. Thank you, Doctor, for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Doctor, let us begin by, analyzing the report that has recently been released, talking about household hunger, showing that just about 21% of Nigerian households are food secure. What are your thoughts on that report?
21% of Nigeria are food secured. Well, it's a great gap between the rich and the poor, meaning that the poor are not food secured. We are talking about 79% of the population that are not secured economically, and that leads to their food, and that leads invariably to hunger. A lot of factors are responsible for this. It is an issue that has been in existence before now. It is just that it blew out now, and the result is what we are seeing. A lot of people have run out of farm for what? Security reasons, high cost of production, logistics, and others. The littles that are there, what they are producing can't cover the whole population. We need to go back to drawing board. What is the way forward?
Unfortunate numbers there, and like they say, data never really does lie. And this data, like I stated, is from the National Food Consumption and Micronutrient Survey report. But let us go now on a short break. When we return, we will be diving into how to solve the issue of household hunger. And my guest, who is Dr. Ajisefinni Ayodeji, is still on standby to stay. And you are still watching Business Daily, coming to you live on Trust TV. Just before the break, we started a conversation today analyzing the report released recently by the National Food Consumption and Micronutrient Survey report, stating that just about 21% of Nigerian households are food secure. And the question now is, what happens to the remaining 79%? But I do have my guest here, who is an agribusiness expert in the person of Dr. Ajisefinni Ayodeji. Thank you, Doctor, for coming on the program.
It's a pleasure.
Doctor, when I saw the numbers, shock. I expressed shock as usual. And the thing is that we have, had conversations around food security a lot more recently than ever. With all of this going on, and again, the large agricultural workforce that we have, working in the area of addressing Nigeria's food crisis, food security still remains a significant problem. What are the barriers that have stood in the way of us achieving, or bridging the gap in the area of food crisis?
Well, a lot of factors might have contributed to it. Looking at it, the economic factor, and under the economic factor, let's look at the purchasing power. And what leads to the purchasing power is the inflation crisis we are going through globally. It's not only in Nigeria. The inflation rate is very, very high now. Somebody was discussing with me that a tuber of yam is now 5,000 naira from the market. I say, wow.
I even learned people now buy yam in pieces.
In pieces. What leads to that? The farmers will say cost of logistics. The farmer will say double taxation, high cost of moving from the farm to the market. And the last, but not the least, is how many quantity of yam are we getting to the farm? How much is it costing our farmers to cultivate and get it done? But the major thing, just like what I told somebody about an hour ago, we have crisis in this country because most of us that are private sector or we are farmers, real farmers, we lack a skill. And what is that? Project costing and pricing. We like using open market pricing to determine what we sell. And it's a serious issue. Government has a role to play in that. And what role does that? The advocacy on train the trainers has to come up. Look at the rate of the hunger in Nigeria today is going higher and higher because the output from the farm has reduced drastically compared to our population. cost of living, standard of living is increasing every day. And the short supply of these things, of these foodstuffs, contributed to the high cost of it. And what we need to do now is to go back to the grassroots. Let's do more of commercial farming. Let's government, not at the federal alone, both at the state and local government. Thank God, the allocation will soon be deposited to their account very soon, according to what we read, that as from next month, they will be having the allocation. What is their plan on food security at local government level? We need to look at that. Let's look at farm mechanization. We are not begging for free input. Let's have 50% discount on some of these inputs to encourage our farmers. Let's do more of security strategy, how to secure the life of the farmers on feed. And look at these climate changes. It has contributed a lot to low productivity on farm. Most of the input has just gone up skyrocketed, rather than where we used to use 150, 200, maximum of 300,000 to cultivate 1 hectare of land. We are now using times 3 of it, and the yield from that output is far below the expectation.
You've emphasized the need for commercial farming, but I'd like for us to delve into that properly. So what models are you, clamoring for in the area of commercial farming that is successful, that you've seen, being successful maybe in, other countries or in other areas now?
Let's look at it, Nigeria of 70s. In the 70s, what we need to understand is cluster farming, farm settlement, whereby the government will open up land and different kind of farmers will come and cultivate. But let's remodernize it to look more commercial and more focused. If we are to go into identifying each local government, we have 774 local governments in Nigeria. What stops us from having 774,000 hectares of land? Meaning that each local government to make available 1,000 hectares of land, and what are their major products, the products that give them more popularity, because Almighty God bestowed each local government in the world with a good soil that can produce a very good fruit. Let's look at the local government where they can have more rice. Are we consuming? What is the percentage of our consumption of rice? Let's look at it. We have never sit down. The Bureau of Statistics is being challenged. What is our population rate? What is the expected food output to cover this population rate?
So data is important.
Data is very important. Now, yes, we cannot get accurate. On average, we have over 200 million population, and we are producing 50 million metric tons of food. Can it cover the 200 million? No. Let's go back to diagram. What is the expected result or yield from 1 hectare of rice farm? Maximum 4 tons. Let's take an average of 4 tons per hectare. From 4 tons per hectare, we have 1,000 hectares. We are looking at about 4,000 tons of rice from one season. And we should look beyond a seasonal farming. It's not helping us. All year-round farming is the solution to part of our food hunger. Nigeria population, which if we should open it to importation of food, we will exhaust whatever the global has with the population we have in Nigeria. And the good aspect of it is we are blessed with good soil. We are blessed with technical people that knows what to do. But what we are lacking is getting full support for the serious-minded youth that wants to go into it. And what are the support? Capacity building. Let's gather the youths that are interested in agribusiness. We have the livestock, we have the arable. We have the ones that we know within 90 days it turns out to money. How do we keep these youths at that farm settlement? Make them feel comfortable. Their job is produce. Create opportunity for the skilled ones among them to go into processing. Nigeria of today, single stream of income does not sustain anybody. Your certificate cannot sustain what it comes out of it. It's now the time for whether you read business admin, you read engineering, anything, you need to have a skilled that can support your livelihood.
I was even going to go there, Doctor, talking about involvement in agri. Unfortunately, some people still, see it as a thing for farmers. But some others would say it's a survival skill to be able to farm at this point.
In all fairness, the best vocational skill in Nigeria today, in the world today, is agriculture. You are an engineer, you must eat. You are a medical doctor, you must eat. You are a politician, you must eat. You are a lawyer, you must eat. Who then provide that food? We are neglecting those people that are producing the food. We don't look at them as priority. That's why they say no farmer, no nation. Let's encourage our people to imbibe. Start from the grassroots, from primary school. Gone are the days in every primary school or secondary school where they have open land and they will allocate it every Wednesdays and Fridays is farming day. Let's go back to that curriculum, whereby we start bringing the interests of our young people from primary educational level to secondary. By the time they get to university, we continue with it. Agriculture must be a compulsory GNS courses, irrespective of your course of study.
There has been a push for more youth involvement in agriculture. How would you say that has been lately?
We are still at the introductory stage because they don't see future in it. The youths are not seeing future in it. And why are they not seeing it? Because the way it is being manipulated. Okay, you say youth should go into agriculture. Where is the skill for them to do that? I used to say something. There's a difference between agriculture and agribusiness. As an agribusiness practitioner, youth in agribusiness, we need to provide land for them. We need to make it so attractive. Whatever they are looking for in that urban state, let's create it in the farm settlement. Let's give them the opportunity of running an integrated farming system that will keep them there. Nobody, no youth wants to wait for 60 days before having anything in his hand. And to solve that problem, you want me to go into cassava cultivation as a young man, as a young graduate, which will take 14 months before it turns to money. It's better for you to introduce livestock or vegetable farm so that will keep my body and soul together, pending when the output from the cassava farm comes out. To every challenges in life, there is always a solution. This hunger has solution. It's a challenge. What are the proposed solutions? Number one, clearing of more land. Number two, mechanizing the farming system. Let's get our tractors that can plow and harrow. Cost of all these things is killing. I said it, I'm repeating it. There are some parts in this Nigeria that for you to plow your land alone will cost you 100,000 for 20 plus of land. And now calculate it for somebody that has 5 hectares of land. Looking at the fertilizer, the cost of fertilizer is between 35 and 50,000. Cost of labor is now average of 5,000 naira. And you say the cost of food is high. And the next thing is, where are the customers? There are some people, the middlemen play another role in this hike in price and hunger. Because the price they will get it from the farm gate, they will add more than what the farmers are benefiting as markup before it gets to the retailers. And the retailers will add their own. Meanwhile, farmers are suffering. How can we minimize the chains of distribution in food distribution chains? If government has, thank God they are ready to support the project, they should look at it from farm to major warehouse. And I repeat again, we need to do economic of production template for each product. That will ease the price control system we are trying to bring on board. If there is no unified economic of production acceptable for all commodities, all products, we will not be able to implement price control.
You've talked about a template to, help address the problem of price control.
Yes.
Price inflation, I should call it. But we've seen, quite a number of efforts from the government, from the FCCPC, and from some, should I say, trade organizations or associations now, ensuring that certain prices of certain produce don't pass a certain amount. But you're talking about a template. What do you mean by a price control template?
Thank you. For you to determine how much a bag of rice will cost, you need to start from the production of that paddy. How much does it cost the rice farmer to produce 100 kg pure paddy? How much? The farmer will tell you cost of clearing, cost of paddy rice, the seed itself, the chemical. Is he operating at the optimal level? Somebody is having 1 hectare of land. He is cultivating 1 acre and is using the cost of 1 hectare to determine the price of 1 acre. You can see where that problem starts from. Moving away from there, getting the paddy to the rice miller is another issue. That's where the cost of fuel comes in. Power source in Nigeria has killed a lot of factories, and most of them cannot avoid to go into green energy. When you are running a shift production scale of rice production and rice milling process of 30 tons per day, you are spending nothing less than 250,000 on diesel. You know what that means? Moving there to the market. Now getting to the middlemen that are in the business. These are the fundamental things that we need to look at. And the template I'm talking about is how can government help to subsidize the input required? If there is an agency at the Federal Ministry of Agri that is specialized in land clearing, which is NADA, Nigeria Agricultural Land Development Agency or Authority, their main assignment is let's go to local government where we can acquire land for commercial farming. And on this commercial farming, we need infrastructures. It's not mandatory that it must be in an environment where there is stream or water river. Let's go back to our flooding system. There are some crops that you can do on flooding where we have industrial borehole. And it's not for free. Whatever you invest on such a project is going to be leased out. And this leasing will be part of cost of production. There is no how we will do this. The cost of our food will not be reduced. And youth will be encouraged because they will be proud of being a farmer if they have the support of the government by having access to fund, not free fund. A loan of single digit to support agric. And for a defaulter, there must be a punishment. You will see that people will be serious to take loan and pay back because they won't like to face the consequence of default.
You talked about, rising interest rates, and with such a situation, I can't imagine, farmers wanting to approach banks for loans because paying back, obviously, at the current interest rate will be very difficult. But let us hear from you as someone who, works and plays with other farmers and, your conversations with farmers. What are their concerns around interest rate hikes?
Truly, it is not okay for any farmer to take commercial loan to do farming because of the rate of the interest. Is per month, on average of 5% per month, between 4 and 5% per month. And we used to tell our farmers, you will keep the money for minimum of 90 days, which is 3 months. Before you make the repayment, the loan 5 times 6, that's 30% you are paying. And this will affect the cost of your product. Why not look for a loan that is between 0.5 to 1.5%?
But what
per month?
What loan or lenders would offer loans at that rate?
The only lender that can do that is only the federal government, the Central Bank of Nigeria intervention. And let's see how we can revive the mandate of Bank of Agric. Their mandate is to assist agriculture to develop. How can we go back to that bank and revive their mandate so that it will ease the tension? I can't blame the commercial bank that is not giving loan a single digit. It's public fund, not government fund. But this time around, let's make use of our Bank of Agric and other government microfinance banks that is ready to support agric. Yes, I know the impact of it. The default rate is high, but let's put all the necessary conditions attached to it. Insurance is number one. And that's why I know for any commercial agri center that has no security, that has no insurance, bank will not be ready to do what? To support. These are what we should look at. All the agencies that are formed to ease the operation of farm in Nigeria, let's wake them up to their responsibility.
Well said, Doctor. But beyond, lending rates now, what other policies and what other government support are you, calling for, in the area of agriculture to ease and enhance food security?
We need more assembling plant of farm implements in Nigeria. We need asset leasing program for farmers on cooperative basis. If farmers can access mechanized items like tractors, planters, harvesters, and etc., even bulldozers on lease basis, on higher purchase basis, you will see difference in our food production. Nigerian farmers are ready to work, but they need this kind of arrangement. Yes, government can open up the opportunity, bring investors, give us bank guarantee. Let's get a guarantee that if this thing is leased to this cooperative, this is your tenure of repayment. Minimum of what? 3 years, maximum of 7 years.
But Doctor, there are claims that farmers were unable to pay back loans given to them by the CBN under the Anchor Borrowers Program. So I'd like for you to speak regarding that.
You see, the issue of Anchor Borrowers Program then has their own challenges from the bat. One, the database collected, are they the real practicing farmers? Two, when was the input distributed? So many farmers, as at then, they look at Anchor Borrowers Program as a national cake. A situation whereby they will say they will give you 1 bag of seed and 2 bags of fertilizer, you produce 2 bags of paddy rice back. Is that a project? If we are to run Anchor Borrowers Program, it has to be in collaboration with the off-takers. There must be an off-taker to a particular product. Yes, CBN have stopped the Anchor Borrowers Program, but we are appealing, the farmers are appealing. If you want to practice Anchor Borrowers Program, you must have an off-taker. Who is an off-taker? The person that wants to buy from you. So that the liability will be both on the farmers as individual and the off-taker, because the off-taker will not want his name being blacklisted. But if this is done on open blanket system, what do you expect? Farmers need to plant in April. Input are coming in July. And the input, are they the specific one? Those are the areas. A lot of factors contributed to it, which led to the default level by the farmers.
Are you saying that there was no prior research, I should call it, or collaboration even between the farmers and the government? Because you talked about seeds coming at the wrong time, when farmers need to farm at a certain time. I mean,
there was, but I don't want at this level to go deep into it, because if I don't have fact and figure of what really happened for it to fail, I'm talking of what I saw, but I will not like to go deep because of the claim aspect of it. That, are you sure? But the truth of the matter is, most of the failure is bound on the quality and timing of the input supply.
So are you by any means asking for, maybe some sort of collaboration between farmers and the government? Because
yes,
these problems, like you've stated, can be avoided if the right background or right research is done before, before going into this project. Well, let's hear from you now.
The truth of it is, for any agricultural loan to come out, both the government and the stakeholders needs to talk. And the number one agreement is, what is the punishment for default? Let's look at it from that business-oriented mindset. Because where there is no punishment, there is no sin. But immediately you know that there is going to be punishment for default, we'll be careful on what to do. And if that is agreed, we now lay down our card. A farm is in plot A, another farm is in... The distance between plot A and plot B is about 3-4 kilometers. We can't achieve so much. This commercial farming we are talking about, Anchor Borrowers Program, should be the funding scheme to be adopted. Because all the farmers will be together. Nobody can harvest behind you. One person will be the security of the other. All the stakeholders will be involved. We are going to farm settlement A, where we have 500 hectares of land, we know nobody should go out, because we do a fencing work, perimeter fencing work, by using some profitable trees. There are some tree crops that we can plant to secure our farm, which the fruits are even more profitable than the main crop we are talking about. As a fencing work, because fencing 500, 1,000 acres of land is not a joke, but there are some plants that we can use which are income generating plants for farmers also, and adopt the same template for anchor borrowers program for all our proposed farm settlement if it is accepted.
Well said. Just before we go, I would like for you to speak to, the most pressing issue or the most pressing challenge that you farmers are facing now that is hampering agricultural productivity in 1 minute, Doctor.
Funding. We are ready to farm. We need funding and security. Guarantee us the security. It's only God that can guarantee security, but let's do our own part. And let's see if farm settlement program can come back to secure our food in Nigeria.
Well said, Doctor. I have been speaking with Dr. Ajisefinni Ayodeji, speaking to the area, or to the issue rather, of rising household hunger. According to reports from the National Food Consumption and Micronutrient Survey, about 21% of Nigerian households are food secure. And the question now is, what happens to the remaining 79%? But thank you, Doctor, for all the insights you've shared with us on today's edition of the program.
It's my pleasure.
This is where we say our goodbyes, but join the conversation on social media and let us hear from you. My name is Chiamaka Enendu. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.